What's up, guys? I'm Nikki.
I'm Bella, and this is the
Out of Our Minds podcast,
a playground for mystics and self-explorers to journey through the vast realms of the universe, cultural landscapes, and spiritual expansion.
Join us weekly as we dive into thought-provoking discussions that unveil the mysteries of existence and nurture the growth of our consciousness.
We are gathered here today
to initiate our part of the Swiftie
we're
cult.
We're Swifties now. I think there's no denying I'm kind of a Swiftie now.
I actually walked out of that theater being like, that's it. I'm one.
I get it.
I'm one with.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last night we went to the Taylor Swift Eras tour movie thing, which, by the way, I don't know why I thought it was going to be inclusive of like BTS footage. It's literally just the concert.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the concert, which in and of itself tells you everything you need to know about this woman's success and like fandom and all the things, is that people literally paid more money to just go watch the digital version of the concert, me being one of them. I was like, as soon as I saw the trailer come out, I was like, I want to go see that. The reason why I wanted to see it is actually why we wanted to talk about this, is because when I watched the trailer, I automatically got chills because I love watching people, particularly like big artists on stage in their genius, because it inspires the fuck out of me and gets me so amped. Like, I love this about the Elvis movie, was just getting to witness a iconic, incredible music on the big screen in a theater environment was incredible. And then seeing like the embodiment of Elvis and his essence and performance on a big screen just made me feel so fucking amped. And that's like, I think when I really fall in love per se with an artist or like a celebrity of some kind that has some sort of, you know, cool achievement situation going on, is it fucking lights me up inside. And I think it's so cool to see that. And it's sometimes just for me an opportunity to like see aspects of them, of myself in them, and vice versa, to remind me that like I'm capable of the things that I want to achieve.
Right.
And like we both left the theater last night and we were like, we need to get to work. Like we need to, we're like, what do we think? And I was like, I got to go clock in. Like I got a lot of shit to do. Like,
Or maybe we can play the clip here of our honest review. We took a video of it. So what'd you think?
That was fucking amazing. I cried multiple times.
I have like literal
I'm a Swiftie now, and I have many ideas and dreams I need to get to fulfilling.
We have to go to work.
I need to go to work.
We need to leave.
I literally need to go to work
We have to
now.
go do something with our life.
Oh my god.
No, that was really fucking good.
Just like, first of all, Taylor Swift, like, say what you will, she just is a fucking genius. Like, she is so good at her craft and such a fucking star and so flawless. Like, I understand the like cult obsession that people have with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just in awe when you watch her. But that's how I feel when I watch anyone that's like fucking has honed their craft and is just peak human performance. You know, it's just like fucking.
The second we sat down and that first scene, I mean, you immediately started crying.
Yeah, first song I was like, fuck, she's good.
But then I also immediately felt this like ball of energy inside of me that just felt so overwhelming. Makes it seem negative, but that's essentially what it felt like.
Yeah,
Overwhelming.
visceral.
This like, visceral, exactly. And it's so interesting to feel that because you're looking at this person who is clearly in their genius and sharing their art with the world in a freaking impactful way. And it activates something within you. And if you're not aware that you have that power yourself to also lean into your gifts and your art in that way, you can look at the person as if that type of energy is unreachable.
Right.
So like I even found myself in that moment being like, wow, I'm literally a Swiftie now just by sitting here watching this. But it's also like, am I obsessed with her or am I just obsessed with the way that she's making me feel right now.
Right.
Feeling so activated with like the potential of being so in your craft and good at what you do that it's just so inspiring to see. And let's give you guys some background, because it's not like we are diehard Taylor Swift fans. I would consider myself someone who dabbled, but like I knew the words to, I would say 98% of the songs,
same.
but that doesn't mean anything about how dedicated of a fan you are, because
True.
I think like a random guy on the street would also know 98% of the lyrics.
Yeah, it's just her music is
everywhere.
That penetrated.
You can't
like
escape
it's
it.
Yeah, and it's like also when it was part of your middle and high school, even college experience, it's just deep in the subconscious mind. Like you just know all. I mean, yeah, it's like any famous like well-known song. They're famous and well-known for a reason. They're catchy. The lyrics are good. Like you learn them very quickly.
They were taking me back, some of those songs.
Same. I was like, high school dances, this drama, that. Like.
Yeah. I had a friend in college that was obsessed with Taylor Swift. So every time we were pre-gaming, every time we were hanging out before going out to a party, Red was on. And then 1989. And like every year in college, it was a new album's obsession. And I hung out with her so much that I just naturally started to listen to this music so much. So every time a song came on while we were watching the show last night, the movie, it just took me back to like a specific location and a feeling and like a type of energy that I was in.
Yeah.
It's so weird how music has the ability to do that.
It's kind of magical.
And hers specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess, okay, what I'm curious about is, because kind of what is interesting here is the line between art is supposed to elicit some kind of emotional response, and it like the best, quote unquote best art or most impactful art is the stuff that really like makes you feel something. That's why it's so impactful. There's the potential of like that getting out of hand and to an extreme where then you have the obsession. So this is my question for you is like, what's your general opinion of like this idea of like the Swiftie culture?
After seeing that movie, I can understand why people start to feel so safe in what they would refer to as like being a Swiftie. Because you start to feel so connected to her music. You start to feel so connected to the way that she's allowing you to feel through her music.
Yeah.
And I would say there's that fine line of being inspired by someone versus being obsessed, that
pedestalizing also.
Yeah. And once you cross over to the obsession, it's like you start to pedestalize them. So I'll repeat what I was like sharing with you yesterday to you guys listening. There's definitely two routes that you can take when you're a fan of someone. You can either sit down at a concert and feel so inspired by them and have that realization of, whoa, like I want to do something like this in my life where I'm so honed into my art and my craft that I can give that out to the collective and inspire other people, right? You have that when you're little. Like sometimes there are people that are just like, I want to be a singer one day, or I want to be a fucking firefighter helping people, or I want to be an artist. You get literally the burst of inspiration that makes you then go dress up as them for Halloween when you're 7 years old. But as an adult, I feel like we start to lose the fact that we can also become whatever it is we put our mind to and share our art in a specific way. So we start to separate ourselves from that person and us, where all of a sudden we're seeing them rise up on this pedestal where what they are doing is just unattainable and unachievable to us. God status, yeah. And that's where I think it can get dangerous, because then someone who's going and sitting down at the concert is just so obsessed with Taylor Swift as a human, like her 3D material human self. Like I am obsessed with this person to the point where I eat, breathe, sleep, and like look up pictures of her and her new boyfriend 24/7.
Yeah, that's like the details of the obsession is when you're filling your time with the nitty-gritty details of someone's life to a degree that's probably not healthy.
Right.
Most likely not healthy.
Like it's taking away from what you're meant to contribute.
Right.
It's not activating the fact that you have gifts inside of you. I think this is what Jen and Zoe talks about so beautifully, is that like someone who's famous is not more special than someone who's sitting in the crowd.
Right.
It's just that they have certain gifts that allow them to share their art with the world in that specific format that activates something within the person sitting in the crowd. But the person in the crowd maybe has a gift that could also activate someone who's on the stage.
Right.
And it's understanding that we all play this very divine role in the collective that allows us to each grow and expand in particular ways. But as soon as we start thinking that someone is more special than us or has gifts that, I guess we all have different gifts, but has an excess of gifts and we're lacking gifts, it's like we're missing the point of all of the art that is there to actually inspire and activate us.
Yeah, and then you're just looking outside of yourself, kind of with the whole mirrors concept, that you're looking outside of yourself to fill a void or a doubt that you have within you, which is, I think, the kind of underlying theme of when there are obsessions that go unchecked, is you're seeking something outside of yourself to feel whatever that you feel like you don't have.
Right.
Which is a thing that happens even in, just like relationships, is excessively looking to another person. But then eventually the whole idea is to turn it back to yourself and realize that the things you admire in the other person are likely characteristics that you have in you, but maybe they're currently dormant.
Right. What's your view on it? The obsession versus...
Yeah, I mean, I think that it can I think we're all prone to, just getting too far down the rabbit hole of like getting into the nitty gritty details of someone's life that you don't actually know them. You know them through media, stardom, fame, social media, whatever it is. And that, I think when it's just very unconscious, it's probably a sign of some sort of inner lack that you're trying to fill from outside of you. And then on the other end, I think it can be really beautiful to have people that inspire you and you admire and that light you up, and, that you just enjoy their art. Like, that's also, I think, a great part of the human experience, is to just get to enjoy other people's genius. Like I said at the beginning, I just love it. Like, I was watching random videos of Elvis on YouTube last night because I was just like, I just love it. It's cool. He's like, I am interested in his craft and his stage presence. And like, I think when you bring a mindfulness to it, it can kind of, it can turn into like a study and like a way for you to pull it back into yourself. I think that's the key, is if you can be aware of when it's getting too far. Like, I know when I'm going too far down, like in potentially getting into obsession territory with like an artist or F1 drivers. And when I need to recognize that, to then say, okay, if I need to bring this back into me, to realize that, okay, if I'm feeling a burst of inspiration, I should go do something about that, right? Like, we were joking about after the movie last night, being like, we need to go get to work. But it's like, literally, like, I should write down ideas on my phone. And like, if I'm feeling inspired, like, sit at my computer and do some stuff and like take action or whatever. Like, that, I think, is the kind of positive iteration of looking to others for inspiration, because we obviously need that. It's a very important role. And even with the gifts, there's literally gifts of people who provide impact and inspiration, or like show you different ways of thinking, and that's supposed to bounce off of you to then help you go and do what it is that you want to do in life.
Right.
So yeah, I think also because Taylor is very popular among young women, I think that's where it's just tricky, because young people are just very vulnerable to like idolizing and pedestalizing people, and it's kind of a rite of passage in some ways. But that's, I think, where you can also be kind of like wary of our culture's behaviors around celebrities and artists, and that you could kind of extrapolate that. Sometimes it feels like it's a little bit too encouraged to be obsessed, or like a Swiftie or whatever it is, that it's trying to distract you from your own power. And I think that's like the dark side of it that can go unchecked and is sometimes encouraged by society. And even like, think about in a I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I hope if there's like Swifties listening to this, that they're not like getting pissed and they're like, like freaking out that we're like kind of we're like psychoanalyzing the Swifties right now, which is hilarious. But just to it's interesting to think about the dynamics of friend groups and how like you can be peer pressured into liking an artist because like all the girls in the friend group like Taylor, and so it's like there's something wrong with you if you don't love her and adore her the same way that your friends do. So it can get into that culty feeling when we start to, judge people for not sharing the same interests, right? Like we were actually just talking about this. Like if, I'm fascinated by Elvis and stuff, but I don't like need you to be fascinated by him, but that's
Right.
the culty unhealthy version is when the groups of people are turning like tribal in terms of who they like and adore. And I think that's the kind of shadow element of like this celebrity culture of pedestalizing people that's perpetuated a lot.
Right. I think another important aspect to talk about here with pedestalizing people is the danger of we almost start to dehumanize someone
Yeah.
when we put them on such high of a pedestal. So all of these celebrities that people may love and adore, the second they do something that we don't agree with,
Cancel.
or it goes out of the
Done.
box of what we thought they were because we had this whole imaginary story in our head of who we thought they were.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was talking about when it becomes an obsession with like the ego 3D material person.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden you start defining them by who you think they are, by your own perceptions and your own subconscious beliefs.
Yeah.
And we don't allow them to make mistakes and to be human and
To evolve. And
right. So even like a spiritual coach or a mentor or a guru is someone who is meant to activate something within you for you to become your own healer and your own guru and your own, like your own authority in your life. Exactly. And it's really important that we're able to recognize that and see us all on even grounds so that we can begin to activate that power within ourselves. And I think if we see this whole journey of life as like the goal is to get everyone in their highest expression of self, then a famous person who is standing on a stage activating that within someone in a crowd is actually doing a really beautiful job of contributing that.
Right.
And then the person who's in the crowd then goes home and is like, wow, like that's so crazy. This one girl literally fucking writing songs for a 9th grade talent show, and now she's standing in front of a sold out stadium at SoFi in LA. And it's just wild that that can be such a form of inspiration for someone to then activate their highest expression. But it really is so important to understand our own power, because if we're in the lower levels of consciousness of victimhood, then we're going to see it as, oh, they just had it so easy, or they just got lucky, or they just got swooped up by the right manager, or it's like blaming the externals of why it is we have not yet activated that highest expression within ourselves, when in reality, everyone's just on their own journey and divine timing is really a thing. And if we can trust our own path and know that the people that are coming into our life to expand us are there for a very particular reason.
Yeah.
Like even us going to see that show just felt very divine with the path that we're on right now and how we're feeling right now with our careers and expressing our highest expression of self. And it just really is so beautiful when you choose to see it that way, because then we're all kind of just people navigating this journey of like, let's do this together type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember last night, the other thing we're talking about was how it feels in the body, that burst of inspiration, and how it can actually be really emotional. And like we were both getting emotional during the concert, but we were also talking about how we'll get this like literally in the body, like core burst of energy and like sensation when witnessing people that inspire us. Like it happens for you with Melissa Wood Tepperberg, and when you watch someone speak or do their thing and it like literally makes you emotional.
Right.
And to understand what that is. And I feel like recognizing that as it's activating the part of you that is capable and wants to achieve your own genius.
That is dormant.
That's dormant, right? That maybe, because I was saying last night, I was like, it's like a good and bad feeling to be sitting on your potential, because you can feel kind of like guilty or behind or whatever, but then you can also be like, I can do so much. Like I have so much in me, and your potential and your visions and your gifts are all unique to you. And like the vision that you get and the inspiration you feel is for a reason, and you can turn it into whatever you want.
Right.
And I think that's actually a really important part of the path, is to allow yourself to get inspired and reminded by other people what is possible out there for you, like expanders basically, whether it's like through coaches or artists or people you meet, you know, in your town, just like learning from people who have done something differently or innovated their path, that it's all on purpose. It's like divine. And then even with in people's like personality and your like human design, is there's different ways that you will receive inspiration from the universe, and that's like on purpose. It's not random.
Right. There's a part of my profile that says pay attention to the way you feel when you're watching certain things on TV or seeing other people, kind of like what we're talking about right now, in their genius, because that feeling is how you collect data points on where it is you're meant to go in your journey. Some people are actually not meant to just come up with their own idea of what they're meant to do in this lifetime or what feels good for them.
Yeah.
They're actually quite literally meant to utilize their surroundings and the way things or people make them feel inside to point them to the next point of their journey.
Yeah, and respond.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is really freaking cool. So I think this all really connects beautifully. Like what I was saying, when you're out of that victim consciousness and you're in those higher states of consciousness where you are using your reality as a mirror, the people that you are inspired by no longer go on the pedestal. They come down face to face. You're able to see what you're feeling is actually pointing you towards something within your own journey and what you're meant to expand upon and what you're meant to reveal or tap into. And it becomes this really like immersive game that's really enjoyable, where it doesn't have to be this like negative thing to like an artist. It's just this person is really inspiring me. And to also know that it's okay when you reach a point where the inspiration kind of shifts, because you're always growing and evolving and changing your energetic frequency to the point where you may actually reach a point where someone who once inspired you actually is now in a different place in their life, and you're in a different place in your life.
Yeah.
So it's okay to find expanders and to release some expanders.
Yes. I went through that experience with Joe Rogan, because I used to listen to his podcast like every single week, multiple times a week. I would have it on in the background. And it was also because he really inspired me to start a podcast and to like explore my desire for wanting to create and like have some sort of like impact as a public figure and like share my message and use my voice. And I really like got so much out of that era. And now I like listen when there's like an interesting guest to me, but it's not like my ritual listen anymore. And I remember at first being like, I was like, should I like tap back into Joe Rogan to like get back into that inspiration? But then I realized I was like, I got from like him what I needed in that moment. And I think I knew when I needed to like, when it was time to move on. It wasn't even a conscious decision. It just slowly happened.
Right.
As I redefined who I would tap into for inspiration and like a reminder of what I want to do.
Right. And it's not like there's a negative feeling towards
him
him or what he's created.
No,
it's just
I think it's fucking, I love it still. Like every time I watch his podcast, I'm like, that's amazing. Like I love that. I remember being so inspired by him.
Right.
And then just moving on to different artists or forms of inspiration.
Right. Because I feel like what the act of inspiration is literally you seeing someone, and I think we already spoke about this, but I'm just like connecting dots here. You seeing someone who is tapped into a part of themselves that you, right, bubbling on the surface, know that you also have.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the door hasn't completely opened yet. It's like the light's on in the room and it's like bleeding out of the edges of the door frame, but you just haven't opened the door yet.
Yeah.
So you know it's there, but like you can't find the key. And then all of a sudden you see this person and they are showing you how they found their key to open the door, and you just have to go inside and open your own door and activate that within.
Yeah.
So I feel like literally inspiration is showing you what it is ready to be opened.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe at that point when you were watching Joe Rogan, that was like the door that needed to be opened.
Yeah.
And now there's other doors.
Yeah.
I know for my personal journey, when I was deep in like a dark night of the soul, when I was not even aware of the spiritual path, I was just going through a tough time. I started to lean into things that inspired me that were very like mindset based and like discipline and like Tony Robbins and all these like motivational speakers that would inspire the F out of me. And then at one point I kind of like reached a point where that just no longer resonated. It's not like same thing, didn't make the conscious choice of I'm never going to listen to this again. It just kind of like new doors
Fell
opened.
out, yeah.
So that's really beautiful. Let's just wrap up this episode with our key takeaways. Maybe like something that you felt walking out of the theater or a realization or a perspective change that you had from this experience.
It just reminded me of like why I enjoy tapping into people's genius, because it has always inspired me and reminded me of what I want to do. And I watched that movie and saw her on stage, and I just again and again I kept picturing what it would be like if that was me on the stage. And I just love that visualization practice, because it's always like, fuck, that is so insane and kind of terrifying, but like there's something in me that wants to create my own version of that. And it just reminds me to like keep going and push harder past what I even think is showing up big, you know, like play it even fucking bigger.
I literally feel like you are meant to, just like thinking about your gifts. One of the gifts in Bella's human design is the shaker upper. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Like you are quite literally meant to activate something within someone. Even the first time I connected with you on Instagram, I was looking at your Instagram and you had like these fun videos of you dancing and just like expressing yourself. And it's this free-spirited you that you get to show off to the world that activates the free spirit in another person. And it's literally such a beautiful aspect of like your energy and who you are and what you contribute to the collective. And yeah, I just wanted to let you know that like you already do that. And to imagine yourself on a stage giving off the energy to activate that within another person or to shake up another person or to impact another person, that's just it in a more massive way.
Right.
But like you do that every day just for existing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I mean every word of it.
You can have VIP backstage tickets to my show. No, I'm fucking dragging you up there with me. You're gonna be like, this is too many people.
Too much sensory overload.
I'm tapping into 400,000 energies. I'm gonna break.
Me feeling every fucking vibration in a room. Yeah, I would say my biggest takeaway from this experience was just the validation of knowing that reality truly is a mirror, and kind of everything we spoke about in that mirrors episode of just using what activates within you as a mirror to what it is may be your next step on a journey. And I always used that with Melissa Woods, just like the way that she was so freely herself and sharing her life and being honest about these really high highs and really low lows that she has.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like the vulnerability in that and just like the authenticity and the vibrancy that she shares is just so powerful. And I used that as a mirror to kind of help me navigate my journey. And I think this whole experience of seeing Taylor Swift and her genius and what that activated within me, it also was just such a telltale sign that I went in there kind of blind to the whole Taylor Swift phenomenon. Like I respected people. Like I even thought about going to the concert. My sister wanted to go. I was like, I would go with you. She wanted to go. And it was never me like having a complete negative, like I hate Taylor Swift. Yeah. I would listen to her here and there, but me sitting down in that movie theater and feeling the feelings that I felt with the awareness of knowing that like I'm not obsessed with like her as a 3D person. It's just like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Was such a telltale sign for me that like, whoa, like this feeling is real. Yeah. And it activates when you see someone, whether you are obsessed with them or not, in their genius and in their art. So that was just such a big thing for me. It was like the mirror aspect of it. Yeah.
Which was like turned over to you were like, dude, she was like killing it. Like this is so good. I was like, dude, she's so good.
There were times where I was bawling my eyes out and Bella had to like hold my hand.
Yeah. Dude, we were like, it was like a roller coaster. And then she came, dude, during the part where she was like in her dark feminine fucking snake outfit. God.
It is so inspiring to see someone in that dark feminine energy.
And she's so like embodied in it. Yeah. This is what I also loved about it was I can see why, as a Swiftie, like watching her evolve and grow over time is really fucking cool. And you can just, even from watching just a few videos of her a few years ago, you can see how now she's like so mature and like in her body, and like she's not like trying to be sexy, she just like is. She's just like in her essence and like her sensuality. And it was just so well done. And I was like, fucking, like, you can tell she's like been on a journey and now actually feels it. Because I feel like you can look back at her old concerts and see sometimes when she's in a more like sexier outfit, whatever the fuck you call it, that she's not fully like in the body there. It's more like the caricature of what it would be to be like in your dark feminine. But now she's like in it, and it's her, which I thought was really cool.
And it's crazy because the outfits were like pretty modest and like reserved. Like even the enchanted dress had a V-neck, but it was so
like,
high. And it was almost like a dress a 2-year-old would wear for Halloween to be a princess.
Right.
But somehow she made it look so beautiful and elegant, and like it's her energy. It's just very
and like
embodied.
even like she wears those like the like bodysuits that are like a bikini bottom, but they're not like her butt cheeks aren't really even out. They're just, but it like looks so. I really appreciated that way of her showing off like her beauty and her feminine essence, but it not being like over the top necessarily.
Right.
Which was just really cool. It was an expander, I think, to just see what it's like when her state is of confidence and like beauty and feeling herself, and that you don't always need like the right dress or lingerie to portray that. It's like all in the essence.
Embodiment.
I need those outfits, dude. That fucking blue midnight one was, I think, my favorite.
Good. That was like, I wanted to take that and wear that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just
So
like
good.
a radiance. And another favorite outfit of mine was the blazer, the sparkle blazer with the sparkle boots.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
I want that.
Yeah.
Like,
we literally are Swifties. We're fucking talking about her outfits right now. It was so good though.
She was just radiating confidence, and it was very inspiring to see.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, this is a little bit of a shorter episode, but it's jam-packed with just some good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Swifties unite.
Yeah.
Swifties, you're converting to an OMI now. So get with the program.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.